Blessings to all, and welcome to another episode of Elevate the Mic. And I'm your host, Max Mupese. Today we have a guest who's not only a radio host, but somebody who represents love, who represents unity, who represents community. The one and only Christcella. How you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me. Oh, that was
Absolutely.
such a nice intro. Appreciate it.
100%. There's a lot of things I could say. You know, you're also a radio host. You're a representative of love. You
Thank
really show
you.
out for
Thank
people.
you. Yeah, I wear
What?
many hats.
Hey, could you tell us about your early beginnings? What got you into the hip hop community, or even into becoming a radio host? And what's one thing you want people to know about Christella?
Well, what you mentioned earlier, I do it for the unity, for the love, for the community. Growing up, I didn't see a lot of opportunities and even festivals and things like that other than Carafest, which is now Caramas. And we didn't have so much opportunities growing up and when it comes to music and film, TV. We did not have a lot of representation either. So it was something I was always interested in but didn't know I could do. Right? So growing up and getting older, I realized that, hey, this is one of my passions. I love to reach out to the community. I love to get people together. I grew up with much older siblings, so I was often alone growing up as well.
Okay.
So this is
So
really what I wanted.
You're the last one of the family.
Last one of the family.
Right.
Babied, right? But still, having to make my own journey for the next generation, I seen that there was a gap for our generation when it came to opportunities, and I didn't want that for the next generation. I wanted them to be well set up. So now they have platforms, they have radio, we do TV now, we do videography, we do all these things, and we're making sure that we can pass this on to the next generation. So how I got into radio was I just seen a Facebook post, was for an online radio at the time.
Right.
And I loved it, but they closed their business, and then I started something of my own.
You're a go-getter.
Yeah, thank you.
You're a go-getter.
I appreciate that.
I was watching, like I'm constantly watching how people evolve on social media and what they stand for, because a lot of people tend to pivot. Some people start with something, and because we're all figuring it out. We're all
Yeah.
we're all trying different things, and certain people move based off of how they feel, their emotions. But I could tell you really sticking to what you really believe in, and it's paying off. It's definitely going to pay off even more, but it's paying off in a good way so far.
Thank you.
Now, could you tell us about where you grew up and
Sure.
how it was
So
in the time?
I grew up in LaSalle, but often,
The Ville.
yeah, the Ville, right? Grew up in LaSalle for 20 years, but often in NDG. Our church was in NDG, and I grew up with the church when I was much younger. I sang in the choir, things like that.
The one on Summerled?
No, actually, it was Trinity on a Memorial Church. It's closed now, unfortunately.
Okay.
But that was a huge pillar in the Bayesian community as well. It was a church with a lot of Bayesians that would go to that church. And so I sang in the choir. I used to read for the church sometimes, and
Amazing.
I just stand up and give my opinions. We had a priest at the time, Father Petrie, who was really, really nice with letting the younger generation speak their minds. So I often did that in the church as well, and I left before it closed. I did leave before it closed, and
Right.
just started my own journey. Wanted to know what else is out there with my own knowledge, and that's how I really started with the music. Though I started performing for Thelma Johnson's events, and she used to hold a lot of tea parties. The tea parties are very important in the Black community, especially for the women in the Black community.
Right.
And I would do a lot of singing for them
For real?
at the time. Yes, I still love to sing, but what I really like to do is work in media.
And we said work in media. What made you realize, okay, you know what? I've had enough of singing. Let me just work behind the scenes.
Oh, I never had enough of singing. I
Or
never had enough of
publicly or
singing.
even.
Yes, exactly. I
Right.
wanted to keep it like something that I enjoyed doing, not for work. I really
Right.
didn't want to do it for work. I wanted to keep it for my special arts, right?
Sacred.
Yeah, sacred. It is really sacred to me. So your question was basically what made me want to work in media, right?
Exactly.
So it was so fun. It was so fun. I really enjoy being entertained by artists, people who paint, people who have stories, people who have stories without even uttering a word. Right? I really love the art of music and just art in general, and even the art of entrepreneurship. I really enjoy seeing the competition sometimes in the game, and I really love seeing people level up. So why not broadcast it and showcase it, right?
That's powerful, yeah.
We need some people who don't mind telling the stories of both sides and telling the stories of many different experiences in the city, which I do love.
Got it. You have a platform called 514 Online Mix.
Yes, sir. That's
Thank
it.
you. Is that something you founded? Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because it's very interesting.
514 Online Mix, that's the it used to be, I used to work for 514 Online Radio.
Okay.
I used to work with them, and they closed, and I thought, this cannot stop. So I started something of my own, and we did 514 Online Mix, and we're now called OMX Visuals. That's our new company for the visual arts of it. And so yeah, pretty much. So that's where I stem from, and like I said, I'm from Laval. I'm from the Ville. 514 has I say Laval.
Yeah,
Oops. I meant to say LaSalle.
Watch the people roast in the comments about Laval.
I know people don't like
It's
Laval.
crazy.
I kind of find it so funny. But I grew up in LaSalle.
Right.
Always been in the 514. I just loved repping your area code too. You know, they do it in the 613 Florida, the 305, all kind of stuff like that. So it's always been appealing to me to use the 514 Online Mix for our shows. But we are OMX Visual, but the shows that we do and the art that we do for the platform is 514 Online Mix.
Got it. And that's where you do a lot of behind the scenes coverage.
Yes.
You interview entrepreneurs, artists. What has been the most inspiring story you've heard so far, or the moment that you've had?
Oh, that's easy. Julie Black.
I was gonna ask about that because that's serious.
Julie Black was one of the most difficult interviews I've done because I really wanted to get it right, not only for us as a platform, but for the community. We're sharing a story, a huge moment in history when Julie Black said, "on native land," which was, it sent a huge ripple effect all around the media. And I really wanted to get her story of why she's done it. My fiance is also indigenous, so and just living on these indigenous lands, I respect the lands of the indigenous peoples. So I really wanted to get Julie Black's story, and she's R&B queen in Canada.
Yes.
So for someone to do something like that during the biggest moment of television, it was the NBA. Pretty much set that she did that, right? So it wasn't hockey, it wasn't baseball. She chose the NBA platform, so that was huge, and she's done such a selfless act by doing so. So that was the biggest moment for me.
That's powerful. And when I saw that, I saw a few. Till this day, I'm gonna have to finish the interview because I saw a few snippets. And what I like is that you're highlighting Canadian artists, you know, because a lot of times what happens is that we focus a lot on what's outside of Canada, but we don't really appreciate, or we don't focus on artists that are, you know, in our homeland for the most part. What would you say is something that you're more appreciative of ever since you started working with artists from Canada for the most part, or even Montreal?
The art here is different. We still have yet to have our own niche when it comes to our own language. You know, we still copy a lot of what the Americans are doing, but the stories here are from places that you've seen. The stories here are from places that you walked by, or people, they're talking about people that you know of. So it feels like home, and that's what I always loved, the community about the artists, you know? The fact that you're getting these stories from your own place, and they're good. These artists here are amazing. They have such talent that is not like anywhere else, because Montreal isn't like anywhere else.
True. You have both French and English.
Right?
And
you have the French, like, lingo sometimes into our music. So it's really nice to see the American Quebec vibe with hip hop sometimes, and music in general.
Got it. And you were, speaking of which, you've done collaborations with people from Toronto, if I'm not mistaken, a crew that does well, the radio show that you guys organize, or the radio show that you guys yeah, pretty much put together, happens at CKUT.
Yes, I have my own show at
Okay.
nighttime too. Sometimes with Underground Sounds. That's the one I run with 514 Live Mix. I also help host a show called Who's Vibe.
That's it.
The season finale is coming up soon, so y'all check that out. But Who's Vibe on CKUT, that is with THT Entertainment, and yes, they are from Toronto. Yeah, it's a Toronto Montreal collaboration.
Yeah, how did that come about? Because I'm like, you wearing so many hats, like this, that. So how did that come about? Like,
So
you
I always
working
had a
with them?
passion for radio. Actually, Feezy from Domain Source,
Shout
shout
out
out
to
to him,
Feezy,
shout out
yes.
to Feezy, another pillar in the community, has given me my first FM radio opportunity, which has changed my life. I fell in love with radio from then. And so I always been involved in radio. We had our own online radio show, but when I went to CKUT for an interview, once again, because I've been through many interviews on CKUT, I fell in love with the station. I fell in love with the spirit of CKUT, and I really wanted to help more in our community radio. I'm like, if we can build our community radio up, then it's going to be great for other platforms. And this is something for the English community that we can use. Yeah.
Leading by example.
Right? So that's the reason I really got into CKUT. And I used to do just my 514 Line Make segments on Who's Vibe, and it was really fun. And I had to take some time off because I had to run the business. After a while, we got so overloaded with projects and jobs that I couldn't do some of my free work or fun things, and which I missed. I fixed my time management. I worked on my time management
It's
skills.
always a hassle, eh? At first,
And
like,
now I can have my radio time. I think it's so important. So now sometimes I host with Who's Vibe, but you're really going to find me on the Underground Sounds, 8 p.m. Mondays, CKUT.
got it. In a way, what I understand is that you organize or you manage your time in a way where you don't have to force whatsoever. You don't have to force anything because it's aligned.
It's not meant to be forced,
that's it.
right? Even though it's a business, there's still art involved, and you can't force art. You need the time to create and develop whatever you're making, and it can't be forced, because if it's forced, you're not gonna like it, and then you're gonna feel that unsatisfying feeling, which I don't like.
Like, oh man, and then you feel like you're not necessarily working towards something. You're working for something.
Exactly,
Like,
and it shouldn't be like that. You should enjoy every moment of whatever you're doing. And a lot of people just focus on the end goal. And I notice people who've done that. I've actually worked in nursing homes with people who had businesses of 600 buildings around the world and all that stuff. And the number one thing is that they didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
Watching them take their last breath and saying that, I wish I took more time for myself, or I wish I did this instead. I realized then I do not want to have those regrets when it's my turn to leave this world. I want to enjoy everything I do. And this is why I took the leap of faith of just running 514 Line Mix fully, doing it full time. And I never regretted it. Never regretted it. It was difficult in the beginning with time management.
Right.
It was all me in my mind, though. Once I got that working, everything started flowing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What would you tell a person that's watching this right now that's still struggling between taking that leap of faith and, you know, having that scarcity mindset, telling themselves, you know, it's not the time right now, I should wait a little bit, a year, 2 years from now?
Follow your intuition. Sometimes your intuition comes from right here, you know?
That gut
and
feeling.
fear comes from right here. So first of all, you need to know what you're feeling. Are you scared to make that leap of faith? And if so, why? Then you just have to make those, you know, arrangements and your safety net if money's a thing, right? That you can make it happen. But if you have a foundation of something you created, take that leap of faith. You can only build it if you're working on it fully.
Right.
You know, and sometimes fully means you're having a part-time job and working on it still, but as long as it's a passion and something you love to do, not just for the money, you can make it. You have to put your work into it, put your work into yourself, find out what makes you happy, find out what makes you tick, find out what's your weaknesses, because it's not anyone's job to get you to make you successful. It's you, yourself, and your mind.
That's it.
If you can beat that challenge, if you can beat that battle with yourself. And you know, when I play video games, sometimes you get to that level where you have to face yourself.
Yeah.
You know, even in Castlevania, or something like that too. You have to face yourself. And that's pretty much what you have to do. It's no one's your competition. It's yourself.
That's it.
It's yourself. So that's the advice I would give.
I see you're big on personal development as well.
Oh, yeah,
That's very
yeah.
important. I think we should all be, at this point, knowing where, if ever we have some big goals, aspirations, it's important to have that personal development mindset.
Yes. I have to find out,
yeah.
like, basically how to love myself again. So that's the journey that I'm on right now. And finding out because I feel like everything I do is not enough. And that's what I realized is because I'm still on a journey of self-love and self-healing. So learning how to say, wow, you did that. You made that happen.
Right.
That's also part of self-love.
That's it.
Yeah.
Very important.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
It's all good. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I'm going to ask you another question regarding self-love and self-discipline goes hand in hand. But now, what would you say, what's in your personal development kit box? If you had to, open it.
Let me get personal
Books.
right now.
Go ahead.
I love to eat, okay? I love to travel
do.
and find new foods. That's one thing. So I need to work on that. But to be honest, I feel like I'm a happy Buddha right now. I'm not going to lie. I really, really do. But what I really want to work on is just appreciating the moment. Even though I know what to do, I still have to work on appreciating the moment and not just focusing on the end goal. Because I have goals. I see where this will go. Not where I want it to go. I see where it's going. So sometimes you can get so caught up in what you're doing, you forget about family. You forget about yourself. You forget about your loved ones. You forget about other parts of what's going on in this world.
Right.
And so sometimes I have to just appreciate the moment and learn how to rest.
Right.
Imagine that.
I've had those challenges I still had to rewire my way of thinking because I was like, why am I getting discouraged at a certain point? Because I was really focusing on the end goal. So once you, like you said, once you focus on the present moment and just enjoying what you got to go throughout this journey, then you'll be a lot more appreciative and you'll feel like you're less in control of things that not necessarily need to be controlled.
Yes.
That's important.
Letting it flow. It's been a thing.
That's it. Now, could you tell us what you're currently working on at this very moment as it pertains to your company and what you want the audience to know more about your company?
So working on more opportunities for artists and entrepreneurs and anybody who just in love with art in general. I really want to let people know that there's so many different outlets right now. There's shows going on, there's festivals, there's TV companies who are developing right now who are looking for people to submit their shows. I really want to get more of that information out there so people who are on their journey don't feel like there's nothing to look forward to. That's one of the worst feelings, waking up and having nothing to look forward to, and that basically sends a ripple effect in the community. You have more people who feel like they can't make it. It's not a fun time when you're making it and other people are not. You know what I mean? So I want to share. This is what we are, 514 Line Mix. We share information about the community. We share information of opportunities for the people, so we all can win together. Because then that builds a foundation for the entire community.
You mentioned leap of faith. You said leap of faith. Could you share one of your most bitterest, sweetest sacrifices you've done so far?
Oh, leaving the MSB. Because I've always been a caregiver. I've been a child care worker first. And it was really difficult leaving my students. I felt like I was leaving my students behind. Some of them were about to graduate in high school in 2 years, and some of them you see growing up from very young. So it was really hard. I felt like I was leaving a family that I watched grow.
Okay, the bond
Yes, yeah, the bonds. But I realized with what I do, I can still work with the community. I can still work in high schools. I can still work among the schools. And I feel like I'm doing more for the community without those restrictions that the school board had, because I found the school board was still a little bit behind on how they treat our community, people who look like us.
Right.
They still have a lot of work to do, which drove me insane working there. But I stayed for those kids. I couldn't do it anymore. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to do something for the community that I felt like was actually beneficial and not holding them back. So it was bittersweet leaving the EMSB to do what I do full time.
Got it. So going through going through that moment gave you an idea of like, okay, you know what, I could do what I did at that company for my own.
And more. I just have to find out how.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's powerful. So what makes you believe in hip hop?
It's a way of life. It's what we do, you know? It's hip hop has been a way to share our voices without speaking sometimes, to share our voices with just the rhythm, to share our voices with breakdancing, with graffiti. You know what I mean? I can keep going on. It's a way of life. It's how people express themselves. Even with my students who do graffiti, I've seen them just stay in that moment and paint such a picture of what's going on in their heads out on paper. And you see the relief of that individual when they're graffitiing or writing a song and sharing it with others. So it's a way of life.
So it's interesting because it's poetry without words sometimes also. It could be poetry with images and
When someone's dancing, you can sense what kind of emotions they're trying to share with you. Even if it's something like love or war, right? They're even if it's war within themselves, you can see a story when it comes to dancing, which I really enjoy.
You've danced before, like break
Yeah,
dancing?
well, I do a little dancing sometimes, but like singing, that's for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I used to do dancing when I was a kid, when I was singing for the events and stuff, and you know, I used to get paid for that too. Those were my dancing days, but now I just dance when I'm in, you know, these events that I'm doing the filming for.
It's very interesting because I could tell you've touched different elements of hip hop. Like you were an artist. You've done graffiti also?
No, but I worked with a lot of students who've done graffiti. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you weren't.
I appreciate it.
You wearing all of these hats. It's just transferable skills of what you're doing today. So what could you tell a person that's still juggling between several projects or even indecisive of how they should transfer their skills? What's the best advice would you give them?
Ooh, that's a hard one because that's something I'm working on as well. Because I have, like you said, many hats.
Right.
It basically, sometimes you gotta feel the moment. If you want to paint, paint. If you want to sing, sing. It doesn't have to be. You have to just focus on one thing all the time.
Right.
You can even blend it in with what you do every day. Right? I love hearing people sing. I love the art of singing. So I get to work with singers. There's so many different ways you can work with something that you like, any kind of craft you want to do.
And you know what's interesting? What you're saying is making me think of your recent gig. Congratulations on that. You're getting booked for Jerk Fest 2024.
Yes, thank you.
That's big. So you putting yourself out there, investing in yourself, obviously, going through the trials and tribulations, hosting as a radio host. Sometimes you never know what doors may open.
Yes, indeed.
And you just got booked by like you said, if you feel like singing, go out there and sing, and then you never know who could book you.
Exactly.
So what would you say has been the biggest lesson ever since you started hosting, or even ever since you started doing interviews for the most part?
You can't make everyone happy. You can't bring everyone with you. And not everyone's going to get what you do. Those three things. You can't make everyone happy because everyone has their own preferences.
Right.
What's good to you may not be good for them.
Right.
What's good for them might not be good for you, you know? And with that being said, you got to do what makes you happy.
So be it.
It's your
that's it.
life. You know, you don't want to be at the end with regrets. I've seen it. It's one of the worst things that I've experienced is hearing those regrets of people. Even from watching a friend die from leukemia at age 24, 25, hearing her regrets of things that she missed out on. That
Right.
it's really hard. It's really hard to have witnessed. But I feel like it was a blessing in disguise, witnessing such trauma, because it made me realize how short life can be.
Right.
And sometimes, even if you're living in your 90s, I heard people who are in their 90s saying it went like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just enjoy it. Make yourself happy.
It's amazing. What would you tell a 16-year-old Christcella today if you had a chance to talk to her?
Wow. That one, wow, that was really, really, really hard. Go for it. You love music. Go for it. I had this idea that I had to please somebody else all the time with going to school or even going to the medical field.
Right.
Why did I do that? I do not know. So, younger Christcella, go for it.
And it goes back to what you're saying, self-love, and you know, which goes with self-discipline. And what is a current goal that you have in mind that you want to accomplish within the next 5 years?
Oof, there's so many. So let me choose maybe one or two.
Right.
I would like to have an organization or establishment that has that community sense where people can go study, people can work on their music, their art, or even if they want to get help in being an entrepreneur.
Right.
I would like to see a community establishment like that. I want to see more of those. So, and I want to be one of the reasons Montreal has been has successful organizations for the youth and beyond. Yeah.
Speaking of the youth, could you give us an example of how you're currently connecting with the youth or even empowering the youth?
Letting the youth know, even through high schools and elementary, no matter where I am, I always want them to know that, first of all, somebody loves them. Second, learning how to love yourself. Learning at a younger age is amazing, because then you're going to find out what makes you happy. And just believing in themselves. That's where I try to help the youth the most, is finding ways to teach them how to believe in themselves. Finding something that they're good at and saying, see, you're good at this. You know, I'm sure there's other things that you're good at too, but look how amazing you can do this. And, you know, and giving them that joy of knowing that they're a star too, because we're all stars.
Right.
We are all stars.
Agree,
you just got to tap in.
I agree. No,
right?
100%.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
And any final words, anything you would like to share with the public, any shout outs you'd like to give?
I just want to shout out to all the incredible men who's been supporting 514 Online Mix, like Brian from Money Money.
Right. Shout out to Brian.
Kiki from Rap Politique and now NAF TV.
Yeah, shout out to KK.
Such a huge inspiration. And just many more of the pillars who've been supporting us. We love them. And thank you to everybody who's been supporting 514 Online Mix. Without the artists, without the entrepreneurs, we wouldn't be here. So we really, really, and thank you for having us too. Like you're another pillar in our journey right now. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Hey, it means everything.
Yeah, and go check us out. We're 514 Online Mix.
That's it. I just want to say, I see the fire in your eyes. I see it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just you know, keep pressing play. Keep that foot on the gas pedal. That's very important. As long as you keep that, that momentum is going to keep on building, and you know, great things are going to keep happening.
Thank you. And this is why I align myself with people like you, because you got to keep that fire burning. And sometimes when you're missing that little, you know, flame, you align yourself with people like that who have that flame, and then you're back up again.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
No problem. Another great episode of Elevate the Mic with the one and only Christcella. Shout outs to everybody who watched this. On that note, like I always say, Elevate the Mic is where we elevate the mindsets and the skill sets of individuals who are part of the hip hop community. Love.